Ooh.
tea. Isn't it so pretty?
Oh my gosh.
This is winter blend. Cheers.
Oh my gosh. Well, we had our tea to start. I'm
We
so excited.
did.
We're in Wrightwood, California, in the mountains. I love it out here because it's like we got LA a hop and a skip away.
And now we're in 15 minutes maybe from
Like
where you
that.
live, from like the east side of LA.
Yeah. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Because of the backdrop, there's like woods, redwoods all around us.
And it is quiet,
It's so quiet.
right? The air is cleaner.
I stepped outside and I was like, I feel like I just got a facial from Mother Nature. She just,
Yeah.
it feels so good.
I've been here 4 years.
Wow.
And now I really notice when I go to the city, like just my nervous system and how I kind of tense up physically.
Your shoulders come up to here.
And just how much more you have to pay attention to and how many more decisions you have to make all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I wrote everything down for you because Daniela does so much. And she's so amazing. I was like, I can't remember all this and I want to do it justice. So we're going to start from the top. You're a Colombian herbalist.
Right.
You're a gardener. You're a teacher.
Yeah.
Right out of your backyard. So you have the children's school in the backyard.
Yes.
And she's teaching all these little amazing souls how to be healthy, how to love themselves, how to be present, how to ground. That's
in the earth.
With nature. So you have the nature school, you have the apothecary where you have your herbal medicine, you have tinctures, you have teas, all of it responsibly and organically made.
Sourced, yes.
Yes. And then you're specializing in plant medicine for women that supports and nurtures their health and well-being.
Correct.
Oh my God. And we're not done. You just opened a store. You're in the process of opening a store.
We are, yeah. So we just rented commercial space in our little town. Our town is tiny. But we do have a coffee shop and we have like 2 or 3 restaurants and a few bars and a brewery. And everybody says that nobody shops in Wrightwood and like that this community doesn't support towns, but I am determined to prove them wrong. We're going to make it work. It is going to be part of the space is just a workshop because I need more space for my product business. It doesn't fit in the house.
Yeah.
Part of it is going to be just community space. We are going to have a big table so we can host workshops, classes. Wow. A lot of the classes and workshops and things that I teach here in the garden, well, it snows here. So half of the year we don't have a garden. So now I'm excited to have an indoor space where we can kind of do more. Because what happens to me often too is that when the winter comes and it's snowing a lot, I start feeling really down. And it's because I'm so social and I love spending time with community. But there's no garden and the house is smaller and there's just kind of all that there is. We've talked about this before. Yeah. But all that there is kind of like the responsibilities in the kitchen that's never clean enough. And so I'm excited to have another space so we can still host some community events during the winter.
And get the kids out of their house, the local kids too. And I'm sure those moms are like, thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be really helpful for everyone. I hope the community comes out and
you've established yourself and you've grown so much. When did you start the company? And the name of the company is
Growing Uprooted.
Yeah.
So Growing Uprooted started as a nature school. So we just finished our 3rd year. In the nature school, we host 2 sessions every year, spring and fall. There's 8 weeks each where kids come to the garden and we work on, like you were saying, gardening, herbalism, just some nature study, just understanding the ecosystem, right? Everything that is within our ecosystem and our role and responsibility in it and how we communicate about it and how we treat it. So that started 3 years ago. And then as part of it, I always cook for the kids. I try to cook meals, like depending on what's growing in the garden. And I would always make tea because that's what I drink and it's more fun than water.
Yeah.
So the kids, a lot of the kids like the tea and the moms were like, well, can you make more of it? Because my kid actually likes it.
Wow.
And I want my kids to be drinking these things. So last year in the summer, so a year and a half ago, I I kind of like made a larger batch of my summer blend. I make a blend for every season. And that sold out really easily.
Wow.
So then I'm like, okay, well, let's try this out. So then for the next 6 months of that last year, I kept talking about it and offering new blends and making tinctures and the things that I use at home with my kids. The salves that I make a calendula salve for like diaper rash and irritations and bug bites, things like that. So I started making that too. And that went really well. So by the beginning of this year, it was clear that this was something I wanted to continue to pursue. So then the first semester of this year was dedicated to kind of like legalizing it and getting permits and license. And it's I'm running an herbal supplement business, which is a little more complicated than a food business, which is already kind of complicated. So I figured out the things that needed to happen. And then semester 2 of this year has been all about going to markets.
Wow. And the kids were at markets, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So as part of this fall session in the garden, I taught an entrepreneur class for girls. And part of it was my kids are homeschooled, and my 10-year-old daughter has been talking a lot about being a teenager. So I wanted her to be around teenage girls because that's something she was interested in. And she also like loves money, and she had a really hard time, or she had a really hard time with math until she fell in love with money. And she's gotten really good at adding and subtracting and multiplying when it comes to money.
Yeah, incentive.
So then I'm like, well, let's build a business so you can figure out how to make money, because I want you to keep doing math. So she partnered with a friend, and they started a dehydrated fruit business. And so now she's coming once a month with me to to a farmer's market down the hill in the city. And all the vendors love her, and they all buy her stuff.
Yeah. So sold out.
She sells better than I do.
That's what my kid's been training dogs, and she made like $300 last month.
Yeah.
They're like determined though, these kids nowadays. They're different.
And they have that added value of just it being so sweet and adults wanting to support them, but yeah, it's been really fun. The markets have been great. It's been a great opportunity to like talk to people one-on-one and hear what resonates and what doesn't, and is their experience with plant medicine, if they have any, or like what are the things that they need more help with. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of that information and all those conversations are gonna, like, what is going to result from that in the next year. Yeah.
And that's why I was excited to talk to you, because you've built this. And, from the outside, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so fast and it's so successful. But the back end of it, I'm sure there's been lessons and experiences in that. And I feel like these days, so many people, especially women, are wanting to start businesses, and seeing somebody like yourself that's so successful and scaling like at an amazing speed. Little gems you could offer us.
Well, it's really cool to see in the street where our commercial space is located. I was kind of looking around, and I'm like, that place is run by a woman. That place is run by a group of women. That place is run by women. There's a lot. There's a tattoo artist who's a man, but everything else is women around. So
times are changing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times maybe we find ourselves being lucky to be supported by a man who's been taking advantage of his own way of growing. And so we can kind of like sit back and like start something small and grow it. But I think also, at least in my experience, there's been so many conversations with my partner about how having kids put me at such a disadvantage, right? Like how it slowed we were kind of like at the same level career-wise when we had a kid, and he just kind of, in part because he's so responsible and he wanted to support me while I was going through postpartum and our baby, but just kind of has gone like, and on one hand, it's been a great example for me. I learned so much from him, and I love that he shares the process.
Mhm.
And we've grown and learned together so much.
Yeah.
I think I did have a hard time with that. I had a hard time being like, oh, I want to be there too.
Mhm.
For the last, I think, 3 years since the nature school opened, it's been the process. Part of the process is having really uncomfortable conversations and really opening up some space,
Ooh.
taking up space. I realized that so many of the ways in which I was keeping myself smaller than him, like I wasn't thinking, it was unconsciously done,
Yeah.
right? It's like we're socialized into this pattern. So if our babysitter was sick and wasn't coming, I immediately, like this happened multiple times, it just immediately was like, well, our babysitter is not here, so I can't work.
Yeah, it's on you.
But it wasn't even a conversation we had where like, who's not gonna work? It was like, well, I can't work. And he kept working. And very grateful for the work he does. But then I remember this one time where our babysitter was gone for like a week. So day one was lovely. I'm like, oh, I get to have this time with my kids. This is great. I'm just going to give myself to them. Day 2 was fine. Day 3 was fine. By Thursday, I'm like, I'm really frustrated.
Yeah.
All I've done is take care of children. I have not done anything. I'm like forgetting what my goals were. It's like my to-do list is who knows where.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. And I think I just communicated that I was frustrated, but that wasn't enough. And I didn't have the vocabulary at the moment to communicate. And what I need from you is this, right? Like I'm frustrated. I think it's time. I took 3 days off. It's time for you to take a day off so I can work. We didn't have that conversation. I just said I was frustrated. And by Friday, I was angry and I was not nice. And then he got mad at me. But then finally in the week after that, we were able to talk. And I was like, but look what happened. And it was not my fault and it was not your fault, but look how easy it is for me to give everything up and how that explains why we are in the position that we are right now and how I want that to change. Because as much as I know that he has a lot of responsibilities, the situation is never going to change and we're never going to be able to have a more balanced.
I think you're normal.
Yeah, unless we're like having these conversations and noticing. And like the goal, I think in many ways, he's a better homeschooler and more patient parent than I am. So like we really want to get to a place where we're doing half and half, like we're making half the money and like we're homeschooling half of the time.
Even,
I'm really good at the chauffeuring people around. I can take the kids to older classes. That's fine. I am not good one-on-one sitting down to teach them things because I think I'm like rushed and I want to see results fast.
Like, why aren't you getting it?
Yeah. So he's really good at that. And he's really good at like bringing the best in them. So best situation is the situation and we're both get to work and we both get to have time with the kids. So that's what we're working towards. And I feel like we're getting to that place where like finding that middle ground and that's feeling really good. Yeah.
Everyone has their strong suits, right? And it's knowing what you could carry. And then there's times where you're down and then someone's got to carry extra weight. So it's beautiful. And you're lucky that, like you said, you had a partner he's scaled a business, he's ran a business. So it's like, okay, using him properly. Give me the information. Show me how to do this.
He is so helpful. Going to markets. If anyone listening has ever gone to markets, and I know you have, you never know which ones are going to be successful and which ones are not going to be successful. And when they are successful, it's exciting. Like I'm dancing while people are paying me and
handing products out.
I'm so excited. And when they're not successful, I'm just sitting there and I'm texting my husband and I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm just wasting my time. I could get so much more done on my computer or on my phone. I should be like creating content or writing an email
and your setups are beautiful. Like if you got to go to her Instagram, check out her website and everything. The setup is just gorgeous. So and I've marketed with her before. So I've seen the process, what it takes. And it's just like, those are those hard moments.
It's been well received. I'm so grateful. So sometimes I text him and he's always reminding me like, you're not there to sell necessarily. You're there to build community. You're there to just meet more people and have conversations. And that's always really helpful. He really helps me
like see the light, see the other side of it.
And have a different perspective. Yeah. He has, not to get deep into the patriarchy, I feel like.
Let's go.
Which I love talking about.
Next podcast.
Yeah, right. But he has the attitude of a privileged white man, who he is. And what that means, as in the way that I experience it, or in the way that I'm talking right now, is just that he believes that whatever he wants to do, he can do it.
Yeah, I heard there was a meme I saw once, and it was like, give me the confidence of a cis white man. And I was like, it's true. And very respectfully, we're not, talking down to anybody, but it is that confidence.
It's beautiful that he was that lucky. I don't want to take it away from him. I just want more of it for myself.
Share a grant. Where's Give us some of that.
So he shares. And I think over the years, because we talk so much about if we go on a date, we're most likely talking about our business ideas, and it doesn't get old, because that's kind of how we fell in love, is through entrepreneurship. You
met him in one of his workshops, right?
Yeah. So I was a photographer in LA, and I was trying to leave my job and take photography full time. And I took this workshop on the 10 legal tips every entrepreneur should know. And my teacher was
your now husband.
Grant.
I love their story so much. Every time I hear it, I'm like, it's so cute.
I remember seeing him sitting there, and I just couldn't stop smiling.
Oh my gosh.
He's just so easy, and he has such a great energy.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
We all need a Grant. Everyone get us a version of a Grant.
Everybody deserves a Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is very confident, and he's very optimistic. He always thinks things are going to work out. It's rubbing on me. Whereas, and just the amount of energy and go-gettedness that he has. And he's always going, and somehow that's rubbing on me too. I think I was a little more subdued before.
You had mentioned finding community in the markets. And that was another thing that when I was starting the podcast, I was like, I got to talk to Daniela, because it was a big part of seeing you do the markets. And then I started coming out and doing them, and then building the community in it. One of my first videos on Instagram, I made talking because of you and the girls in our group chat. We did what did we do? Our weekend reset bundle.
Yeah.
And it was, how many, 8 of us in there? And they're like, we got to make a video, and we got to start talking to people. And I'm like, I don't make videos and talk to people. And they hype me up, and they're like, no, you got to do this. It's going to be okay.
Now we're recording your podcast.
And now here we are in front of the camera.
It's beautiful. We can always grow.
We can always grow, and community helps, being women and supporting each other. We talked about experiences. So what's something that has built you in this process of starting this business?
So recently or before?
Let's say
I feel like
the beginning.
Share something from before.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what built me to live the life that I'm living now.
Yes.
Growing up, I lived in Colombia until I was 20. And we always lived, up until that point, we lived in the same place. Wow. I think from the moment I was 3, we moved to Bogota, the capital city. And we lived in the exact same condo my whole life. So we lived in a busy, busy city. Bogota is a metropolis. It's full of big buildings and lots of traffic and lots of people from everywhere.
It's like an LA.
It's like a New York.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it's like a New York, I would say. Just lots of buildings and really tight, and cars don't fit. We lived in the city, and we went to school in the city, but we always had a farm, because both my parents lived in small towns, and their parents had farms, sometimes multiple farms. And so my dad always felt like it was important to have that connection to the earth. And so we always had a farm. So we spent the weeks in the city, and on the weekends we would go to a farm.
Oh my God.
And I think that was such a blessing.
Yeah.
It was a blessing in noticing the differences in my body and my emotions when I was in the city than in the farm.
Oh, yeah.
Something that I carry through. And once I left, and then I lived, for 12 years here in the US, in cities, I started feeling like my nervous system started getting really, really tired and really, really overwhelmed. And I kept feeling that call. I don't have the nature. I know the city. I can handle the city well, but I don't have the other part. And I feel like my body was craving that. And then when we moved here and we had a little patch of land and we started gardening, I was surprised that even though I was a kid when we were at the farm and I wasn't made to work, I spent so much time outside, and I think I was watching and I was playing, but there were not a lot of rules at the farm.
It was with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my hands were dirty and ate with my hands dirty. And I walked without shoes, and we were out when it rained, and ride horses, and I helped pigs be born, and I would help clean them up.
The little piggy noses.
I know, they're so cute when they're born. So when I started gardening here, I realized that so much was coming kind of instinctually.
It's like muscle memory.
It felt natural. Yeah, it didn't feel hard. I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed by gardening.
Yeah.
Starting a garden.
And it's a decent sized garden. It goes like back to those trees back there that you're saying.
I think it's not huge. The whole property is a 1/4 acre, but we do have a good amount of space back there. We have a chicken coop and free range chickens, and
you did it all from scratch, right? Because I remember the beginning videos.
Yeah. So the space, I mean, I feel like you can kind of see there's mature trees, and this is past my fence. This is my fence, so this is past my fence. The land is gray eroded sand. So I started bringing composted chicken manure and dumping it everywhere. And I started buying baby fruit trees.
Oh my gosh.
And the land is rocky. It's hard to dig holes, but we did, and we pulled rocks out, and we planted trees, and we built an irrigation system, and
oh my gosh,
just little by little. And I think by the fall that year, it felt like we had something, and so I opened the nature school, and it's been growing. Like this summer, the garden was incredible.
It was pretty.
3 years of growth
it was just flourishing.
Yes,
like you were out there picking, full on picking for your business.
Ooh, yeah, I'm growing medicinal herbs. I am we got fruit. We got a ton of raspberries, a ton of tomatoes. We don't get a lot of sun because we have a lot of mature trees over.
So big.
We have such a canopy of trees, but it's also kind of a lesson in flexibility and in acceptance. This is the garden I have. I don't have a full sun garden. I have grown corn, but it's tiny. It doesn't grow very big. But we grow what we can, and we enjoy it.
You literally planted a seed and started a business.
And the girls are outside, which I think that was the goal at the beginning. It was like, I want my girls to be outside more. And so for that to happen, I need to make the outside my lifestyle, which I had forgotten, but it came back really easily. So growing a garden and having to go out there and take care of it, and having chickens and that look so cute and remind us to go out, and we have to go get eggs, and we have to feed them. And there's reasons that pull us outside. And the girls in the summer, the girls wake up and they head out.
Oh my gosh. You take care of what you love.
Yeah.
That's so you pick from your garden, you make some of your stuff from your garden, right?
Very few now. I think I've settled on, because I'm growing, I can't keep up with at this rate of tea that I'm making. So most of it, I'm sourcing it. I source it either from Portland, Mountain Grows Herbs, or here in California, Star West Botanicals.
Wow.
They both sell nice organic herbs that seem properly sourced. And then I have kind of landed on growing my own lavender and my own calendula.
Wow.
Calendula is really easy to grow. I grow a patch every season, every summer. It dies with the winter. Start again every year, but it's so easy. Every week I'm harvesting a nice bowl of calendula flowers for a good 4 months.
And that lasts you through the winter?
And that lasts me through the winter. I use it on the immunity tea that we make. And then I also use it for the calendula salve, for like eczema and diaper rash and things like that. And now we're using it also for a soap.
I saw that.
Yeah, but it has been enough. It might get to a point where it isn't, or maybe next year I'll try to grow more. And then the lavender, I planted last year about 16 lavender bushes. And they did great.
Wow.
With our limited sun. So that goes into the calming blend.
I love that.
That only goes into the calming blend. So
and that's a tincture?
That one is a tea blend.
Okay.
We do have a calming tincture, but that one when you make tea, it's better to keep the flowers and the leaves because those kind of steep faster in hot water. If you're trying to make a tea with roots and stuff, it can be a bit of a waste of the root because like you would need to kind of boil the root to get enough, or simmer the root to get enough medicine out because it's so hard. Like roots, barks, berries are hard. So although I do put a little bit of those into the teas, I like to use those in tinctures because tinctures is when you take alcohol and water and put herbs in and let it sit for like 6 weeks, and the alcohol and the water extract medicine. So they do a good job extracting medicine from barks and thicker herbs like that. So yeah,
that's the one that I love, the calming tincture. When I'm like super anxious and I'm sitting at my desk and I can't focus, I'll get the tincture and some water, and it really helps just like focus. And I don't get it's a perfect little, like, it's hard to explain, but it's just very much like zoned but chill.
Yeah, and that one has kava, and it has valerian root, and it has other things that are kind of like valerian doesn't taste great, so it's better in a tincture than having to drink cups and cups of it.
And that too, the tincture tastes so good in water.
It does, right?
I love it in water.
Yeah. I try to make all the formulas drinkable. The tinctures are harsh because they have alcohol in them. It's kind of like drinking a strong gin. I mean, you're drinking a small amount, so you're not like drinking like it's gin. But the tea blends, I try to keep them very smooth and like I want you to drink them all day long and like keep flushing your body with the wisdom of these herbs.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that line so much.
I'm amazed by but what a difference it does when you drink herbs daily. And not just a little cup, but like
throughout the day,
a good amount, like really let them in. I think at the core, herbalism is very simple. It's not complicated. It's just being open to have a relationship with medicinal herbs. It's just bringing them into your body. It's asking them to help. It's making them friends and be and allowing your body to be in constant contact with them.
I love that. So somebody that's just starting their journey with their health, what are some things from your shop you would recommend?
So I always, I have 2 different kinds of customers. I have the customers that love tea and the customers that don't. So
who doesn't love tea though?
There's so many. I go to markets and people are like, yeah, it's beautiful. I just don't like tea.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We got to convert them. Where are you guys at?
So for somebody who likes tea, I like to get them started either with the nourishing blend or the seasonal blend. So I make a blend every season. That one is always nourishing, but I try for that blend to be nice and all-encompassing. So I'll choose a nourishing blend. I'll choose an adaptogen. We love adaptogens because they help us cope with stress. And then I'll choose herbs based on the needs of the season, right? Like some seasons we need to warm our body up and maybe like help our digestive fire because it's too cold out. And some seasons we need to kind of cool our bodies down because maybe we're getting a little angry or we have heartburn because there's too much digestive fire in our bodies. So it depends. So that's a good that's a good blend to start with, or just the nourishing. The nourishing is the only blend I sell that has all the herbs that we have ruled safe for pregnancy. So that's an easy one to just tell anybody that they can drink. It has tonic herbs that are, I mean, most herbs are so safe. At the rate when you're drinking tea, you're not drinking crazy amounts of it anyway. But these are tonic, simple herbs that have been just like trusted by generations and generations, right? Like nettles. So nettles is one of those ancient weeds that lives and survives crazy environments. It's strong and it's packed with minerals, vitamins, enzymes.
So it's easy for us to grow it at home?
It is. It's called stinging nettle. When it's fresh, it stings if you touch it.
No way.
I keep it in the garden
wow.
because I feel like it's a good lesson at nature school too, that
Don't touch everything.
Some things bite.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also have a beautiful yarrow patch. Yarrow is another super beautiful wise weed.
Mm-hmm.
And yarrow came into my garden by itself. I didn't have to plant her.
Oh my God, I love that. She's like, I want to be here too.
She's incredible. She's one of those herbs that kind of meet you where you're at. So, for example, it's well used for fever, but it can kind of bring a fever up if you need to kill a virus, or it can bring it down if it's too high. Or it's also used for disorders with bleeding, with menstruation, and it can slow down bleeding if you're bleeding too much, but it can also bring your menses if you're not bleeding.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful herb that
knows what to do,
finding
kind of.
balance in your body.
Wow.
And yarrow and stinging nettle go really well together, because if you get stung by nettle, you can grab yarrow and kind of macerate it, and you put it over, and it takes the sting away. So it's a lovely opportunity every time the kids accidentally touch stinging nettle. It's like, well, let's fix it, and we can fix it.
Wow.
And the plants help us.
So good.
Yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about, but this is where we landed.
We were talking about our starting. So how we start off, you said the nourishing blend's a good overall.
Yeah. So nourishing blend has nettles. Nettles has lots of calcium, magnesium, iron that we women tend to be deficient on, especially if we had children. We're all deficient in magnesium at this point, it seems. It has red raspberry leaf that helps balance hormones. It has rose hips that is very antioxidant. It's also really nice for our skin. So it's a really nice place to start. It tastes delicious. It has a little bit of lemon peel. It's really nice.
I love that. So that's seasonal. You make that as the seasons change. It's a great starting point.
Yeah. So nourishing, I have it always. And then the seasonal is only for the season. So this one that I have here that we're drinking today is winter blend. And that one has nettles too, because part of winter to me is really kind of replenishing our deep reserves. To stay warm, to stay supportive, but also to be ready for the next growing season, right? So I have nettles in winter. It has red clover, which also helps balance hormones. It's a really wise weed for women who are going through the beginnings of menopause. PMS, it's really great for that.
To keep that in mind, I feel like we're a few seconds away from that.
My mom started in her 40s, so I'm just waiting. For it to
here we are. This is great.
Any moment now.
That is so good. I love that. And you have the online store, so everybody could jump online and pick up a couple things, start their health journey. Like I put a post up, you posted, then I reposted. And I was like, it's a great Christmas gift. And they have till what day to order? I mean, we're pushing it.
15 to get things before December.
Okay.
But I'll keep going after that. Obviously. I just can't promise they'll arrive on time.
Spread the gift of health.
That's one part of why I'm really excited about the commercial space, because part of it is being able to bring people to help, packing orders. For example, is something that on the best weeks when I make a lot of sales, I am almost noticing this kind of negative energy that I'm putting out into the world, because it's like, oh no, then I'm going to have to pack them all, so that I'm recognizing this is something where I need to bring help, and having that space is going to it's going to facilitate.
And it's still giving, still spreading and helping the community. You get to provide jobs. You get to provide income for other people.
I'm very excited about that.
That's beautiful. I can't wait till it's up and going. I cannot wait to see it. Because, she just has amazing taste as it is. So I know the space is going to be beautiful. What are you looking forward to? What's happening in 2024? Anything you could share with everybody?
Okay. I'm super excited for 2024. Obviously, I have no idea what's going to happen. I am not a person to make very clear plans. And I think that works in my favor, because I am usually surprised, not disappointed.
I like that.
But I'm excited to figure out the commercial space for more community, for more events. I'm really looking forward to have a knitting crochet group started.
I'll be there. I was literally Googling knitting crochet classes 2 days ago. I'll be there.
Can't wait. I can't wait. I just, we're going to have this table in this space, and I was thinking, like, oh, I'll just get stools so they don't take up too much space. But when I imagine a crochet needing any fiber art, welcome a group, I'm like, no, we need backs, we need comfortable chairs.
We'll be sitting here like this.
We're gonna be chatting. So that I'm super excited about. I'm continuing with my nature school. I am exploring making an online version of the nature school for people that don't have access to a nature school near them. That has turned out to be more challenging than I thought. I've recorded a couple of videos and I'm very unhappy with them. I think my expectations are maybe too high, but I just think to make it worth it, putting a kid on a screen for another thing, it just needs to be it needs to be dynamic, and I really want to show so much of what's happening. I do believe that there is a purpose to it. I do believe that if children are getting the chance to explore my garden via video, they're going to start paying more attention to what's happening in nature around them. And I think there's value in that, and having 100%. Conversations, even if they can't come to my nature school, just having conversations about what are we doing in the garden in January when the ground is full of snow, for example. I have gardening tasks for January. I start seeds indoors that I'll have ready for the spring, for example. So I think there's a lot of value, but I have not fully figured out how to make that work.
I'm thinking about those kids in the city, like when you were that kid in the city, if you had this on video to see, and then even they could order stuff online and get the blends in person and see what there's so much. That's such a beautiful space.
And learn a little bit about making medicine at home for yourself to support you through the colds. And I mean, you can make some garlic and some calendula and some honey and make something that is kind of yummy and supportive, for example. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about continuing to grow the product business and figuring out ways. I want to explore PR and just kind of getting into more people's homes,
into their cabinets, the kitchen cabinets.
Yes, I hear so many great stories of how like the healing salve is supporting their babies, or how they started drinking nourishing blend and they feel like they don't have as many cravings and their nervous system is less anxious. And I just want to get that to more, I think all of us herbalists, and the numbers of herbalists are growing rapidly. I think we all understand that the more this needs to be free information for anyone who wants it, like this is how our ancestors came to, that's how we evolved to get to this point. It was in constant contact with the natural world and understanding that we are part of it,
working with it.
And we've gotten so disconnected that I feel like we're all trying to kind of remind us all that there is more peace and there is more health
at our fingertips.
If we're more connected with the herbs and with the world outside, right? Just touching dirt is so powerful.
Oh my gosh, I love doing my energy sessions at the parks. It's like I'll go like hug a tree afterwards and I'm like, take all the energy that we don't need, transmute it. It's so powerful. We have so much literally at our fingertips. I'm so happy you're providing this space for everybody and this education and for the kids. Like a new generation is getting back in touch with what we naturally know. And it's muscle memory. Like you said, you came back here and you knew what you were doing. Same thing for them. They're going to just catch on and then start a whole new wave of health.
Yeah, that's the goal. There's always this beautiful kind of change that happens in a new kid at nature school sometimes. Not all of them, but sometimes there'll be one where it's like, oh, you earthworms, gross. And by the end of it, they're like professional earthworm holders and finders. And I think there's so much value in just having that opportunity to go from you to,
this is me.
Oh, wow. Like, thanks to that earthworm, we get healthy soil that builds plants that grow the food that we love to eat.
And break it down. It's a circle of life, right? All starting and beginning to the end. Oh my God.
Powerful lesson.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So much for sitting. I have one last question for you. The question that we were brainstorming. And I love this one because I feel like it kind of gives us an idea of you as a human being, as a person. So if we made a movie about you and we had an intro song and an ending credits song, what would the songs be?
You made me so nervous with that question because I'm so bad at songs. My husband is so good at songs, but I think so I'm not going to give you titles because I'm really bad at songs. I think in many ways I'm still listening to the same music that I was listening when I was 15. I'm not very into finding new music, but I would say the beginning song is an early Spanish Shakira song. Ooh. I love them. I felt so related. She's just so good at writing songs.
So vibrant.
Yeah. Before she became so big and she started singing in English and it was a little more like sexy. She just wrote the deepest, most beautiful romantic songs. God. And that was my childhood. And then the ending song, I think it needs to be some kind of Italian, some Tuscan melody. I just imagine myself as an old lady, kind of like hanging my clothes in a, outside in like in an Italian villa.
Oh my God, with your garden still.
With all my herbs just flow like with
all the
Mediterranean sun and
the most perfect wine and bread.
Yes.
I see that for you.
Gallons 100%. Of wine. Yes. I actually do not digest wine well anymore.
A lot of people are allergic to wine.
I can do rosé in small quantities.
Okay.
But yeah, I cannot drink red wine anymore. I feel terrible the next day.
Do you get the headaches?
I just feel awful. I don't just totally off, and I wake up all night and I can tell that my body is having a hard time digesting and detoxifying from it. So it's like depleting my immune system. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. That might not be just tea.
Maybe we'll do the tea and the bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. I'll be there. So we'll do a circle back podcast in 30, 40 years when you're in Italy, enjoying your best life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been amazing. We'll have to do like a summer recap and see how everyone should go about their summers and give them some more information for the different seasons.
Yeah, that would be super fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace out, everybody.